All right.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Thomas Jefferson once wrote, "The government you elect is the government you deserve." Do we deserve this?
Well, I don't know about that. I think that Trump really showed his, his red meat personality when he used the word trounced on Nikki Haley. He was this competent, smart, tough former governor, UN ambassador, and he devoured her and spit her out like King Kong. Now I don't know what she does, where she goes. Her political career may well be ended. In terms of her supporters, though, the irrelevant question that you're asking, Elizabeth, I don't think there's much doubt that the vast majority of them will, like everybody else, like Mitch McConnell today, find their way to Donald Trump. Republicans have selective amnesia, whatever their problems are with former President Donald Trump. They like his tax policy. They like his no NATO policy. They like his brand of kind of narcissistic selfishness, and they got him. They got him. 8 months of this, we got to get used to this. But this is what we have, and I don't think there'll be big splits in the GOP. I'm shocked. People just forget what happened. Forget January 6th. It's like
today we had Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell releasing a statement endorsing Trump. He hasn't spoken to Trump since December of 2020 and was absolutely furious and scathing in a statement on the Senate floor after January 6th. And yet he's fallen in line.
And yet he's fallen in line, and did so in a way that it's like you go up to the kid. It's Donald Trump's party now. Forget any misunderstandings. All is forgiven. Even without Trump apologizing, without Trump addressing any of the trauma the nation went through, he is now standing alone, unprecedented, extraordinary. Before 2/3 of the delegates have even been selected, and now he is the maybe once and future president of the United States, Elizabeth.
I want to get your reaction to something that veteran political pollster Frank Luntz said today. He said, quote, "Joe Biden does not excite Democrats, but Trump scares them." He said the vast majority of Americans in November will be voting against someone rather than for someone. What do you think of that?
I'm not sure about that. For instance, one of the big question marks coming up will be, what will black men do?
Right.
Will black men do what black men have done historically and vote overwhelmingly Democrat? Or will they jump ship and support this kind of rock and roll swinger president who, he says he gets their vibe? It'd be fascinating to me. I think that Trump would be wise to pick Senator Tim Scott as a running mate to enforce the to reinforce the notion that he's not a racist, that black men can find a home there. And if he Trump fractures that old Democrat coalition that has lasted for generations, then forget it. He's a winner, runaway winner. It'll be fascinating for me to see who he does pick for vice president, because I think he's going to be very strategic about it. He built up Tim Scott. I think that I would, my only other alternative to Tim Scott would be Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker Carlson could bring.
Come on, that's
maybe Tucker Carlson. No, maybe he could bring in some of those so-called Haley voters.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, Trump wasted no time challenging President Biden to a debate today. The White House responded that Trump's, quote, thirsty for attention, and that they'll have a conversation about it at the appropriate time. What do you think? Are these two going to debate? Should Biden say yes?
I think, not to duck your question, but I think far more important than any debate or any debate being scheduled, and I doubt very seriously that any will even be contemplated by the Democrats, for the same reason what I'm about to say about the State of the Union. The State of the Union is a monologue. It's not a debate. But you do get razzed by the crowd. You do have to respond to some unexpected moments. You do have to read the teleprompter for an hour. Whether Joe Biden can accomplish that, I think that is right now the big nightmare among Democrats throughout the country is Thursday night.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.